Before moving to upstate New York, I lived in a small town called Riverside, New Jersey, which was a reason why it's relevant to the discussion today is because of all of the paranormal activity that I experienced while living in and working around the town of Progress or Riverside. So this is a little straight talk about paranormal photography and clairsentience. So when I was in the town of Progress or Riverside, I did a lot of photography with my Pentax. This is my trusty old SLR. So it was one of my first cameras. And it was a clock tower in the center of town, and I was enamored by it, and they held the Historical Society meetings there. So I went to an open house one time and looked at the history and learned a little bit more about the town of Progress and had a little bit more respect for it when I was out shooting. And I just noticed that most of the paranormal experiences that I had were during that time, so between 2003 and 2009. So one time we were out walking in the town of Progress with my sister and my mother, and all I had with me was this Canon Power. I was taking pictures of the landscape of the town, its center, Main Street, over the train tracks, and my digital images came back with something that stunned me. Now with film, I was used to anomalies on film, a distraction, a light leak, but in this photograph, it was clearly a blending of two images, but one of the images I had never taken before. So like a rod sticking straight up out of the ground toward the sky. And through a bit of research, my sister and I had found that there was a directional pole in the center of town, north, south, east, west, county. Unfortunately, it was struck by lightning and burned down a theater that had been in the center of the town of Progress. The location of the directional pole was also the location of the landscape in my photo if the original building had still been there. So in my mind, I feel like I captured the directional pole's energy the moment that it was struck by lightning. Another paranormal experience that happened in that town was I was walking with my mother at the car show, and my camera just started shooting, and the flash was going off, and it was shooting random pictures and creating images. Another clock tower incident happened again walking the town with my sister and my mother, my boyfriend at the time, and I was shooting with my Pentax, and I went to reach for my second roll of film, and mind you, it was chilly out, it wasn't a hot day, it may have been Memorial Day, so I reached for my second roll of film as my first roll was just about done and my camera was acting a little wonky, so I said, let me change out the film, and it had turned to a jelly-like substance. After listening to a lot of people's stories about being mediums and understanding how spirits and energy need heat or energy to be able to manifest into 3D form, I began to think that it could have been a possibility that was ectoplasm, because I was experiencing some very strange phenomenon with my camera that day, with the flash and it not working properly while shooting the Watchcase Tower. As you know, I was a plus-size model for quite a few years, and that involved a lot of work in the Bucks County and Lansdale, Pottstown areas of Pennsylvania. And we did a photo shoot, a plus model photo shoot in an old, historic, recently uncovered brothel from the 1800s that was super cool and filled with history and pretty. So here we are walking through the hall in high heels, lingerie, bustiers, under a broken, open blue skylight, and there's claw feet tub and old wallpaper and door numbers. Just the energy was so potent in that moment. We found a room with electricity hookup, and our photographer at the time couldn't control her flash. Flash was going off on its own continuously. She unplugged it and it continued to flash. Those situations really stick with me. I feel like they keep me open as a creative person to understand that the environment may also be trying to work with me to create something beautiful, or capture a memory or an imprint that wants to be captured that I can't see. The directional pull is wild. I wish I could find that photo. It's got to be somewhere digitally.